Right, all. Combat Patrol issue 4, a paint issue. So, if you are new to collecting, a paint issue is a positive thing. Now, I know a lot of people, they don't really care for paint issues. I've spoke to a lot of people about these kind of magazines, and a lot of long-term collectors, and I do think that a lot of long-term collectors are very big on collecting this. I suspect it doesn't bring in as many new gamers as Games Workshop would like, but they sell, so I'm sure Games Workshop aren't complaining. I'm sure they don't particularly care who buys it as long as someone's buying it. Anyway, paint issues are important if you are a new collector, because you won't have any paints, or potentially won't have any paints. The 3 paints that you get, very, very simply, allow you to paint ultramarines with Macragge Blue. Macragge, is it? Yeah, it is pronounced Macragge, isn't it? Crag. Anyway, that is the homeworld of the ultramarines. It's the heart of the Ultramar Empire, which is a little sub-empire of the Imperium, founded by the Primarch Rebute Gulliman many years before. By standards of the Imperium, it could be considered to be almost like a paradise compared to huge parts of the Imperium. The Ultramarines rule with, probably for what classes in the Imperium, as justice, with a need to protect their populations. Anyway, so that's the colour for the Ultramarines, Macragge Blue. It's a good starting paint colour. That's the colour that, if you never done this before, that's what the colour you're going to paint your Space Marines as. But please don't feel locked in, because I'm going to go through these two. So, Barak-Nar Burgundy, which is a nice kind of regal purple, I would call it, a deep purple. And over here, Wraithbone. These are the colours of Hive Fleet Leviathan. So the Tyranids of Hive Fleet Leviathan, I'm pretty certain it's Leviathan anyway. Purple for the armour plates, and the bone colour actually for their skin cut tones. Now, if you are new to the hobby, this is also an awesome colour to do your Space Marines in. Specifically, there's 2 ways that you could potentially do this. Purple on one half of the body, cream on the other half of the body. Or you could do one of these colours as the whole body, and use trims with the other one. I really want to push that point forward, because if you are new, these are the kind of things you want to try out for. I've been talking to my son about how to do the Tyranids and how to do the Space Marines, and my son actually likes the idea of having a kind of blue and white for the Tyranids for ice. And I actually think that I'm seriously going to consider doing full-blown palette swaps and actually using the colours that I get within this Combat Patrol, but putting them on the other models and then trying to do tutorials of it. I've dropped my magazine, getting overexcited, so I better pick that up now. And with my back, that is not easy. I'm not joking about this, by the way. It's actually quite painful for me to actually bend like that. Anyway, Combat Patrol 4 finally. I've waffled for 5 minutes about paint. I hope, anyway. The actual issue now. How to paint. Essential. So, it talks about how to introduce to painting, which is what you expect of a first, the kind of first one where you get paints. It talks about here, techniques: too much paint, too little paint, or sometimes too thin paint and too thick paint, and so on and so forth. How to coat, how to, basically colour in the key areas of the models. So what I would say is I like the idea of going through with you my approach. Now, one thing I would say is, because it's a beginner's guide, they don't really show you about undercoating with a spray, but I'll try and kind of go through on a video about why that's important at some point, because they just go straight onto the base layers, which is possible, but it kind of makes it, in my opinion, so that the paint can rub off too easily, because it doesn't have like a specialised paint to create a real undercoat. A little story. Now, this is what I was on about in my last issue review, talking about different Space Marine chapters and Silver Templars, who are undoubtedly, I'm going to assume, an offshoot of the Imperial Fists, who are normally adorned in yellow. So, you've got these kind of, that's quite cool. I'd like to actually have a good read through that one. Okay, a section on Space Marine characters. Chaplain on a bike. Cool. Right. Yep. So talks about chaplain on bike and librarian. So it looks like they're introducing us to some lore in advance here. I recall on Stormbringer they tended just to really stick to the models that were in the kit, and this is really showing you what's coming up. Maybe that's a positive thing, and that'll help you kind of want to carry on collecting. It talks about Tyranid characters. So we've got our winged Tyranid, and what have we got this thing coming up? Parasite of Mortrex. Again, a little bit of info about it. Again, winged creature. Used to be that you didn't really get that many winged creatures in the Tyranids. It was just the gargoyles, I think they were called. And over time, they've just expanded the winged range. And the winged range for Tyranids is very important, in my opinion, because they've come from space. They can drop like spores down and they can mature, but that kind of vision of the sky just kind of darkening with an organic mass, that's the vision I get with the Tyranids. So the more wings on Tyranids, the more dangerous and devastating I feel they are. Okay, a little more missions to do, a little bit more battling going on. It starts talking about how to use the data cards that we got in the previous issue. Let's have a look. Data sheets in the attack sequence. Okay, so it's really going into how to use these things properly. I'm just trying to have a look on, what's coming up in the collection. And the good thing is, with the Space Marines, we are getting a chaplain on a bike. Excellent. And some Terminators. It feels, one thing that I'm looking at here that feels quite strange is there doesn't really look like any real rank and file troops that you're getting for the Primaris, but I suppose with this one they're trying to tease you into the store and to collect one particular, like pick an army and say, yeah, that's the one I'm building up. Okay, and of course coming up, these guys. Right, so we've got our paints, and I've already kind of shown you the paints, but just to reiterate, you've got the Macragge Blue, are very useful for a range of painting. A starter brush. Now, the starter brushes are never the best quality, and I really do advise that you go out and get better quality brushes than this one very early on. Don't spend a fortune on brushes. I'm not actually joking about this one, but they won't last forever, these, but they're good for like large rough work. You can pick brushes like this up at the range, and it's amazing actually. I think these brown ones are the better ones. I'm sure I got them at the range. They've got quite soft bristles, so for a cheap brush, they're actually quite good, and they've got a nice balance to them. So anyway, just to give you an idea there that this will wear out in no time. Trust me. Okay. Right. So there we go. That is Combat Patrol number 4. I hope you like that. Please like and subscribe. See you next time.